Hi friends, Agatha here, your Sinister Sewist. In today's video, we're going to look at my sewing kit and look at some of the really useful tools to have in your sewing kit for hand sewing. All right, let's unpack my sewing kit. So this is a bentwood box that is not completely period. It's got rivets, but that's okay. It serves my purpose. So this kit has taken me years to build. So when I first started out hand sewing, I definitely had all modern tools. So building my sewing kit, my historical sewing kit, based mostly on 15th century sewing, maybe a few newer items in here. But this took me years to put together and build. So let's just unpack. So this is actually a handy little thing that I got at an event. And it's just a little sort of pouch of leather. This will tuck under a belt, or not leather, sorry, linen. It's a little pouch of linen. It opens up and it has spaces for needles, pins, and little pockets for beeswax. It's a really handy little thing, and that was actually a site token that I received for an event. That's a nice little thing. So if you're looking for gifts or little handy things to make for yourself or friends, these are great little portable sewing kits. I have collected lots of these little wooden spools. So this is based off of a historical thread spool. And I have one that already has some hand spun linen thread on this. So that's a nice handy period spool option. I also have one that has some woad dyed linen as well. One thing that I love are just these little muslin bags, and they're wonderful for keeping your stuff in so that you don't end up with dust and cat hair and dirt getting into the things you want to keep clean, or if you want to hide something that's modern in your historical sewing kit. So I have in here just a few spools of thread. This is, I think, silk. I also have some polyester, and linen threads. So hiding these away in these little, very inexpensive muslin bags it's pretty useful. I like it. And I also have a little pouch of beeswax, and I carry a few with me almost to every event because you never know when somebody's going to need something. So I usually have a few of these, especially when these start getting kind of gross and get all the grooves in them and get fuzz in them. I usually try to have a fresh one as well. This one has some linen threads in there, just some white linen thread there that keeps things nice and tidy, so you don't have a bunch of thread rolling around inside your sewing kit. Some other things that are nice to have in a sewing kit are these awls. Awls are great for punching or creating holes in fabric. You can also use them in leather, but I use them in fabric. I've got a bone awl that a friend gave me, and just a modern metal awl from the craft store that works great for making eyelets. Another awesome inexpensive tool that I have found is a buttonhole chisel. These can be found online, and you do need a little piece of wood or a surface to push through because you're pushing through your fabric into your surface. So you want to make sure you have a little block of wood or something behind it. I have some sewer's chalk, tailor's chalk. This is actually chalk from England that the same friend gave me, who gave me the awl. And needle cases. So you already saw one of my needle cases. Actually, it doubles as a thread spool. So in the end here, I got this online as well. This is a reproduction. I'm not sure if this is a reproduction of an actual thing or just their interpretation of what would be a good thing to have, but it's an awesome thing because it's useful for holding threads, but also for holding different types of needles. And where did my lid go? There it is. Here we go. And this one as well. This is a nice, useful little, I always keep lots of needles with me because I teach a lot of classes, arts and sciences classes, and so I always have some extra bunches of needles to share with people. I have a darning egg. This is modern. I think it's early 20th century, late 19th century darning egg, but it's useful for when you need to darn some socks or another thing that has a hole, plus it looks kind of cool inside your kit. Modern pair of little sewing snips, and then reproduction sewing scissors. So these are almost unwieldy, but they're nice and sharp and they look good. And a pair of smaller reproduction sewing snips here. And also a thimble. So someone made this for me, and I've tried to use it. I'm just not good at using thimbles. I just use my fingers and end up with lots of calluses. So there is the sewing kit, historical sewing kit that I use. Now, of course, when I started out, I was using sort of modern everything, and that's totally okay. You can pick at things a little bit at a time and add to your kit as you can. This took me several years of building a kit up. So, you know, it's okay to start with modern and using like a cookie tin. I know a lot of people use that. I just used a little basket with a lid on it for a really long time, and finally got a hold of this bentwood box, which I love. And I forgot to talk to you about my needles. So of course I have some modern needles in here, just some steel needles, but my favorite needles to use are these brass needles. They're hardened. They do bend a little bit when you sew with them, but I really do love using these to sew with. I sew linen and wool with them. There's also, I don't know if you saw this. This is a little fun thing. Iron needles were a thing in the 15th century and probably earlier than that. When I sew with an iron needle, I notice that it's very grippy in the fabric and it can be hard to sew with. So I don't actually sew much with these iron needles, but the brass needles I absolutely love. So there's my historical sewing kit. I hope you get some good information out of that. All right, so that was a look inside my historical sewing kit. I hope it was some useful information for you. And again, remember, you don't have to start off with everything totally historic. You can build as you go. And I'll be also creating more videos for left-handed sewists coming up in the next weeks. And keep watching. And you know what? If you have not tried on your garb in a while, you might want to do that. I was feeling a little snug in my clothing today, and I thought it would be fun to dress up for you. So I look forward to doing more videos for you, and we'll see you soon.